Hello, world. This is America's Supermom, and this is a special edition that I call the Corona Chronicles. During this time, we are suffering from a pandemic that is affecting everyone across the world. We are joined with the rules and regulations of being shelter in place, which means we are limited with the ability to go about our daily business, confined to our homes based on a coronavirus that has been sweeping the entire world. For some people, the effects could be mild. For others, it can be fatal. So we are coming together as a community, as a family during this time of difficulty to share what it is like in our part of the world, how we are affected, and the things that we have in common, what kind of problems that are taking place in our industries and in our relationships and finances, and coming together so that we can plan for a better tomorrow. As this epidemic or pandemic crosses the world, we are waiting for relief. We're waiting for the virus to die off and for us to go back to some state of normalcy, whatever that may be, after things kind of settle down. So, what is that going to look like once the dust settles? How are things going to be different? So as we go through this process, we're coming together as a world to create ideas, strategies, connect in ways that we have never connected before. So that is the purpose of the special podcast that I call the Corona Chronicles, so that we can get some insight and have empathy and compassion on one another, create new, innovative ideas that can not only improve our life, but our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm so excited about my next guest. Loulu Lima is here, and she is the travel guru. We actually met organically through a referral network that we're a part of. And so I'm really excited to kind of hear her insight. I am still here in Georgia, not doing much travel. So I'm excited about us diving into what that landscape is looking like as we kind of phase out of this quarantine lockdown situation. So at this time, I'm going to give Loulu the opportunity to introduce herself, and then we'll dive into our interview.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this platform and this opportunity. So really excited. My name is Loulu Lima, and as Lachelle mentioned, I am a travel guru. My company is called Book Here, Give Here, and it's all about travel that gives. I basically curate travel with social responsibility. So all of your travel experiences are fully curated and vetted, so that way they are actually what you want to experience. It's not something you're going to find on the internet or anything along those lines. It really is more in depth to what kind of experience you want to have in any destination around the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, it sounds like expensive,
but it's not.
Okay, so this is good. You know me, mother of 15. Okay, we're all about saving money.
Absolutely.
So I love the thing you said, you curate and all that. So explain what makes you different than a normal travel person.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I spend time with you. We have an online, a phone consultation, whether or Zoom or however it works out. And essentially in that consultation, we get to know each other. So so the first thing is that we're going to have that one-on-one. I am invested in you. So your trip, making sure that your trip is a true success, it is my break or fly moment. So I will be asking you those questions of what's going to make that difference. What, who's traveling with you? What is it going to be like? What is your budget? Because we were talking about, prices, right? Because the word curated always makes you think, oh my God, this is going to be too expensive. I can't handle this. So I'm not going to be finding things that you're going to be able to find on the internet. I'm going to tell you that right now. So the value that I bring to you is not something that you're going to be able to price shop. And the reason being is because the internet is great for searching and getting ideas. But a travel advisor is really who you need to actually formulate and fulfill the booking pattern and everything else. And why do I do that? So if something goes wrong during your trip, who are you going to call? A call center that is on the internet, some based in who knows where? Or you want to call somebody who's invested in you, who has this interest of making sure that your trip goes well. All of my clients, when they hire me, will have my cell phone number so that they can call, text me, or whatever. And if it's 2:00 in the morning, no matter where I am, I'm answering the phone. So if something, you're not happy with all those moving pieces, I can do that. The other thing that the internet won't do is offer a payment plan option. When I plan far enough in advance for you, we actually can do payment plans. So you can pay your trip off long before you even go on your trip. So there's that budget word again, right? So you're going to be able to, I'm going to help you essentially afford those things that you thought might have been too expensive. You don't think you can afford luxury travel? Think again. It can be done. And I will work with you to do that. And even if that means that we're working 11 months out or we're working a little further, we can do it. So as long as you, you add me to your monthly budget, I can work with you.
That's good. That's good. Now, so let's talk and dive into what this travel is looking like, because you hear like, well, the airline industry is suffering, so I'm not flying anywhere. What is the landscape really looking like realistically for people to start traveling? Some of these people wanting to go to like live events rather than virtual and things of that nature.
Of course. So a lot of the live events are still going to be put on hold. And a lot of it is because they don't want that COVID resurging. And so, and those live, all of those bodies and things like that, there's a lot of moving pieces to that. However, in terms of flying, you're going to find that your flights are not going to be fully packed anymore. Or at least, in the beginning, there's going to be some regulations where you have to wear a mask to get on and things like that. TSA is going to require you to have that mask, and there's going to be, and all of the airports are going to have the hand sanitizer stations. So you're going to find that. Obviously, if you're going to eat or drink, you're going to move your mask, etc. But for the most part, on the plane, you're going to leave your mask on. As far as having those services that you are so used to, having that drink brought to you, or the food cart and all that, you're going to not see that. You're going to need to bring that on your own. And but you're also going to have they'll give you some goodie bags, so to speak. And they'll all be prepackaged, kind of like, our grammar school lunch brown paper bag kind of concept. So it'll be individualized, and it'll be handed out way before, we take off, kind of thing. So you have everything at that point. Bathrooms there's no queuing for them. So you have to kind of raise your hand or ding the bell. So that's kind of the queue, right? And then the flight attendants will be monitoring who's going and what order, as well as making sure that after each person leaves the bathroom, that it's cleaned and sanitized for the next person. So obviously there is going to be some sterile type environments when it comes to planes. When it comes to the hotels, you're going to have that sterilization, but you're not going to be as as hospital-like. And I think that's important because the hotels still want you to have that resort vacation kind of feel. So you'll see that the employees may have masks, but in certain areas like the pool or the beaches or things like that, and even in some of the restaurants, they won't necessarily be needed for you as the guest so that you can enjoy the experience. However, keep in mind that your server is going to have one. So, you know, again, it's protection, right? It's that extra step of that barrier. Your rental cars are going to have, you know, they're going to be wiped down more. So again, you know, if you have that feeling of, oh, geez, I need to make sure that I've got that wiped down, whether you're at a hotel or at a car rental or anything along those lines, then bring your wipes. You know, you can bring more than 3 ounces of hand sanitizer. So TSA is allowing the larger hand sanitizers to come on. So you can bring you can bring that. They're also asking if you're going to bring food when you go through TSA to obviously separate it. So that way it scans separate. And if they need to rescan it or something, they're just rescanning your bag of food. They're not going through your bags.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, but essentially, so a lot of those moving pieces are, you know, what you're going to find. Now let's talk about pricing and what you're going to find out there, right? Because that's the other piece of the puzzle of this question. And so you're not, there are some offerings. I don't like to use the word deals or discounts because there's always too much fine print in that. So I like to basically be as very discreet and in terms of using those words, but I want to be as transparent as I can be so that everybody understands that I talk about value. So you will have value for the flights that are available. They are still being revenue managed, and that's what creates the up and downs of all that pricing and everything else. The computers are watching that. However, there are more humans actually looking at these because of COVID. So the computers aren't managing the rates as much as they used to. So that way, and the buckets and the tiers of how many seats are priced at what particular price point is being a little bit more lenient. Also, the seat selections. Delta, as an example, has said that they've blocked out the middle seats. So that way, unless you're a complete family flying together, your middle seat should be empty. And so if you're buying your tickets and your entire family is on each an individual record locator, they consider you an individual ticket and they won't seat you guys together. However, if everybody's on the same ticket, you will be able to sit together.
I see. That makes sense.
So, so just kind of, you know, those are some of the smaller tricks, you know, obviously to keep in mind and when you're doing that. And of course, things get complicated, right? So that's one of the reasons why you want to have a travel advisor to help you along the way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, me doing it, but just a professional who's been doing this for quite some time that will give you the opportunity to go, okay, here's all of the moving pieces. Let me figure that out for you.
Yeah, that's good.
And then the last piece of travel, and you know, especially in terms of we want to go to theme parks and things like that, right? So like the Disneys and the Universals of the world and all that kind of stuff. So from my understanding, Disney is going to be in phase 2 starting July 7th or 8th or something along those lines. So so because they're doing you know, they're coming out with a separate phase, they're going to be trying to bring in people at different times and so forth. So you'll want to check and you'll want to make sure that your tickets are not time sensitive you know, so because a lot of things are going to be like, oh, you want to go on those rides. Well, rather than queuing, you'll have appointments.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there's some moving pieces in regards to that, but they're also selling limited tickets in general. So they're all, they also they don't want max capacity.
Right.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Makes
so
sense.
a lot of that is going through that. And of course, but there's a lot of family travel that can be done where you can
Mhm.
still social distance. Lots of road trips, as an example. If you guys are ready to go on the road,
Mhm. Mhm.
there's a lot of opportunities
Mhm.
for that as well. So, and those are just, and
Mhm.
that's just staying domestic, right? So as the states open up and everything else. But for those of you guys who are, willing to go to that next level and hop on a plane, there are a lot of countries that are opening up.
Mhm.
And so there
Okay.
are some countries like in the Caribbean, like Antigua and Barbuda and St. Lucia, that have recently opened up.
Mhm.
They require a COVID-19 test. So St. Lucia
Okay.
requires you to bring that test 48 hours prior to your trip to make sure that you have a negative test.
Mm.
And then, and even some of the hotels are
Mhm.
requiring that. Um, and
Mm.
Antigua and Barbuda are actually doing the test upon arrival. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how long or how feasible that's going to be, but for the moment, that's the new norm.
I see. Now, and so for many of us who, we've had this cabin fever locked inside with our kids and everybody else or other extended family, what are some different ideas for, like you said, some of those road trips, some different creative ways? Because, for people who have been locked down, they may not even be able to think what would be a good
Absolutely.
vacation
Sometimes
spot.
just even doing a staycation might be a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a company that's called Hotels by Day. And Hotels by Day allows you to actually do a very quick staycation, which is just stay in a hotel for a few hours. So for those of you guys who are who kind of just
Oh.
want to have some, maybe let me try out the pool. Let me see how I feel in terms of travel. And that way I don't have to go very far. You're not paying for an overnight rate,
Mm.
and you're basically getting an opportunity to go and experience, how do I feel traveling? And and that's an important part, right? So
Mm.
those are
Mhm.
opportunities that you can easily do with same day, and it can easily be anywhere from 6 to 8 hours kind of concept. So
Mm.
and
Mhm.
you get an opportunity to try out a nice hotel, and see how you feel. The other, so now we
That's
move
good.
over to the people who go, no, I really want to just get out of my backyard. So outside of your backyard,
Mhm.
I would always look at the national parks, or even your state parks,
Mhm.
because most of the
Mhm.
state parks, as they open, all of the facilities are going to open, and those usually are either free or have a very a small fee to park your car. But after that, you're good to go.
Mhm.
So, and a lot of them will have either lakes or some type of river or along those lines that you can go swimming in. So that'll give you an opportunity, to get out a little bit more. Um, and of course, you can do
Mhm.
hiking and in a lot of these areas. And a lot of times, it's just kind of find find a monument that you have so many local monuments
Mm.
all around the U.S. that people don't realize of
Mhm.
different soldiers from different battles that have been that are basically being honored because of this. And this is a great an American history lesson for the kids as well as the adults, right? So you get an opportunity
Mhm.
to learn about some of those moving pieces. You can even, I would certainly go on, different boards or even Facebook groups or whatever, and just kind of ask the question of going, what's your favorite restaurant in XYZ area? And you're going to, you can kind of do a search for that,
Right.
and you're going to notice that there are groups that are called favorite restaurants in, and then it could be a state or it could be a, you know, and so there's a Facebook
Oh,
group for
okay.
just about everything. There's a Facebook group for
Mhm.
people who
Mhm.
only have left eyes versus right eyes or both. Um, there really is. And so
Wha-
you can search and you can find all of these these groups that you didn't realize that are out there, and you can get some true feedback of who's tried what. Or you're taking a drive, say, so you're in Georgia, maybe you're driving over into Louisiana, so you're cutting over a couple of
Mhm.
states, and so as you're cutting over a couple of states, you're trying to figure out, gee, what could I do, where could I stop? So that's why I say use the history lessons, because I think that's it. We've been homeschooling
Right.
for so long, right? Well, why not do living
Mhm.
school? The school of life is so important,
Right.
and it's probably going to give you more
Mhm.
information than any textbook will.
That's awesome. Mhm.
And a
Very
lot of times
creative.
they don't
That's
cost
good.
you. Those monuments are all
So,
free to access.
yeah, that is true. So that is just wonderful words right there. Great. And I love the whole idea about the staycation. I mean, that is so good to be able to think of things that you could do right there, and having that, idea of, getting back into that. I think is so important because we had a party for my daughter over the weekend, and we're like, okay, everybody's going to wear their mask. We're going to stay social distanced. And it was just a disaster only because, you don't really realize how hard it is to social distance for a certain event. It's like, you're thinking you're going to, everybody has disposable plates, but then you're still sharing a spoon to dip your food. I mean, it's just like when you begin to kind of micromanage everything, it's like, wow, there are so many things that we don't
Yeah,
consider
and
when it
and
comes to
and
social
the other thing too
distancing.
is that
So,
as you're trying to figure some of these things out. One, like cruises, as an example, are still trying to figure out how to manage the buffets.
mhm,
So cruises are moving cities.
right,
And so especially your Carnivals and your Royal
yeah,
Caribbeans and and all of that, they will hold anywhere from 3 to 6,000 people, and depending on the ship. And so
mhm,
they,
mhm,
the buffet lines would be, okay, here, you serve yourself. Well, now they're going, well, maybe we're going to serve you. So that way, only one person is touching that
mhm,
spoon.
mhm, right. Yeah, it's so many things to think about, because you don't really consider it until you're actually in it, and so, I mean, but it's one of those things you have to begin to start that process so that you can begin to come up with a strategy and a game plan in order to move forward. Same thing I know with airlines. I know they weren't thinking, well, people are going to have to raise their
Right.
hand. You can't have
And
them standing in the
and how do
aisle,
they raise their hand?
for the bathroom.
So they use a call button, right? So that would be the most civilized. But some people just raise their hand. And
Right.
then depending on how long your flight is, they may say no bathrooms. If it's only a couple hours, you may go, wait till we
Right.
land. Um, and
Right.
it's
So
going to
true.
depend on
Yeah, so
how busy or how packed the flight is, in terms of, because they are zigzagging you when
mhm.
you're seating down. So and a lot of
Mhm.
a lot of the moving pieces they're having you board from the rear to the front. So as they have so that way so does first
Mm.
class then go last because they're the first seats? And so that way people
Mhm.
aren't tripping over them,
Mhm.
and because everybody walks through first class. So
Mhm.
so
So
it's a
true.
lot of those
Makes
moving
sense.
pieces and things like that, and yeah, that you kind of want to think about,
Mhm.
as you're traveling. But no, don't be afraid to travel. I just booked my trip to New York City, the
Yeah,
epicenter.
I think that's
I
great.
just booked my trip. So I will be there July
Okay.
1st. I'm seeing my parents for the first time since November. And yeah, but I was excited to finally book
Wow.
my ticket. And yeah, and so
That's
the thing
awesome.
is that once you get something on the calendar and you have something to look forward to, you're going to be looking forward to the next one and then the next one. And then before you know it, life will be moving in a normal fashion.
Yeah, that is so true. Now, so what about international travel? What are some of the places that have opened up? And then, do they have the same type of requirements with,
So,
having tests
like I
done
mentioned
and stuff
earlier,
like that?
Antigua and Barbuda, as well as St. Lucia, those Caribbean islands are doing that. Every Caribbean island, as they're opening, is giving us the information. So you should check with the tourism board of the country that you want to go to kind of figure it out. Portugal and Spain are opening up. And so they, I believe Portugal will be opening up to American travelers in the month of July. So we're getting there, right? So Portugal will be opening up, Spain will be opening up. Italy is already starting to open up for European travelers. So we expect that at some point Italy will come back, and American travelers. But we haven't handled the COVID situation as great as we should have. So everybody's kind of looking at the U.S. as how do we fix this and how do we allow U.S. travel to come back? So, I mean, even our own states, Hawaii as an example, has extended their quarantine and the no visiting till the end of June right now. So, and I'm sure that that's going to go through July. Alaska has closed their borders. So, and this is for domestic travel. So, so it's going to be an interesting adventure. As we, go through every single destination. I know a lot of the places in Central America, like as an example, Costa Rica. I have a trip already scheduled for September. So, and that's not that far away.
Okay.
I mean, we are in June, right? September is just 4 months away. So, so I'll be going there.
Yeah.
I have clients who are booking, September onward. Some of them even in August. If you're not sure where you want to go and you want to kind of stay local, Key West is an amazing territory to go visit. It's no passport needed. You're going to get an amazing cultural Caribbean experience, and you've never left the country. Same as Puerto Rico.
So good.
Puerto Rico is another option. So, just kind of throwing those things out there. But, and if you want to go towards the West Coast of things, you can have Cabo, which will be opening up towards the end of July. And I mean, so and that whole, the whole section of the Pacific, that's another option. So, and August, it'll be a great time to go to California.
Yeah. So true. Sounds great. Well, you have definitely given us a lot of insight, definitely very informative. I have pages of notes over here. I'm a note taker, okay? But this is some great stuff. So what is the best
so
way
my website
for
is
the audience to get a hold of it?
bookheregivehere.com. My email is info@bookheregivehere.com. Or if they want to just pick up the phone and chat, you can reach me at 866-963-BOOK, BOOK.
Okay. Now, and then what is a last parting piece of advice that you would give someone who is kind of leery about travel?
Be comfortable with what you want to do.
Right now?
Talk to somebody. Talk to a professional. It doesn't have to be me. It could be any travel professional that you that you manage or know. But at the end of the day, ask questions and
Mm-hmm.
see if you can get those feelings put into play. Because once you know the answers to those fears that you have, booking your travel will be a lot easier.
So good. Great advice. Well, I want to thank you
It
so
was my
much, Loulu. This
pleasure to
has
be
been
here.
great
Thank you
and
for the
very
opportunity.
informative. And you are
Yes,
welcome.
thank you
And I
so
look
much and
forward
take
to
care.
hearing from you again soon, okay?
Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
What a great interview. I love the insight on the travel. We can't live in fear forever. We have to be able to get out of our comfort zone and take baby steps. I love the concept of having a staycation and gradually working up your confidence to travel again. So that was just a great idea and a way for everybody to kind of gradually tip their foot into the water, so to speak, to the idea of travel, getting used to being around other people, and the whole concept of social distancing. So I just love that. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email me at info@LachelleAtkins.com. You can also reach out to me through Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and my YouTube channel. Lastly, if anything in this particular segment was of interest to you and something that you feel others could benefit from, I encourage you to share the posts with others, as well as possibly do a review. This is a great way so you could give back, especially now during this time of quarantine. A lot of businesses are trying to get back into the swing of things. So it's a great way that you could do something no cost to get exposure for the guests that come on the show. Again, I want to thank you so much for listening and have a great day.